Hey everyone, I'm Ultima456, you're the Ultimates, and welcome to episode 59 of Let's Platinum Danganronpa 1, 2, Reload. How did a shard of glass from the window get inside this bottle of poison?
What's so strange about that?
What's strange is that, according to what Hina told us,
Where was it the bottle of poison should have been when I broke the rec room window? According to what Hina told us, the bottle of poison should have been in section A of the shelf, because the section C was for the poisons, but the one that she found was in section A.
the bottle of poison was left on the shelf in the chem lab. That is what you said, right, Hina?
So it had the protein in it, but it was a bottle of poison, so it should have been on shelf A.
And yet, somehow a piece of glass from the rec room window made its way into the bottle.
Everything Hina told us was a lie?
In reality, that bottle of poison most definitely found its way to the rec room. It was there at least until the window got broken. In other words, when the locked room was unlocked. There's no other way to explain the presence of that glass in that bottle.
And then, once the room was opened, the bottle somehow got moved back to the shelf in the chem lab. Meanwhile, the protein can we found at the crime scene was planted there. That had to be after the locked room was opened. In other words, after Sakura died.
Wait, hold on. You're moving too fast. I'll grant you, the bottle of poison may well have been in the rec room when it was locked. But how can you say the protein can was put there after the room was unlocked? We already know she was given the protein can with the poison inside, right? If that can wasn't there when she died, how did she get poisoned?
You're right. We do need to explain that. But before we do, there's something I'd like to confirm with everyone here.
Huh?
It has to do with the protein can. After Sakura's body was discovered, did anyone move it or trip over it or anything like that?
What are you talking about? Is this some kind of loaded question?
Not at all. Just answer to the best of your ability.
Well, no, not that I remember.
Yeah, me either.
Not me.
Same here. Yeah, me either.
Okay then, that settles it. That proves that the protein can found its way to the murder scene after the room was opened.
Oh, come on! How can you say that? How can you know what I don't know?
The reason she can say that is because there's evidence. There's proof that someone brought the protein can to the rec room after it was opened. It was one of the very first things that we learnt about. Let's see if we can work it out. In fact, if we look at empty protein drink,
When it
it says, where is it? Here. An empty protein drink was found near the rec room door. The container had a label reading Chem A2. The shards of glass from the window that was broken to get into the room were found both around and underneath the container. That's very important.
comes to that protein can, there's not a doubt in my mind. Until the locked room was unlocked, it absolutely was not in there.
So you're saying someone planted it there after we got the door open?
No. No, that's impossible. It had to have been in there the whole time. It had to be. It was in there before the rec room was unlocked.
Sorry,
No,
but
it's
that's wrong. God, the music in this game is just the
You
best.
remember how there was broken glass scattered all around the room, right?
Of course. It came from the window you broke to get in. What about it?
Well, those pieces weren't just scattered around the protein can. We also found pieces underneath the can,
What?
That's a new animation too.
and this proves it. It shows that the can must have been put down on the floor after the window was broken. So it had to be after we got into the room.
I see. So that's your explanation. Kyoko, earlier when you asked if anyone had moved the can or tripped over it,
If that were the case, that would explain the can being on top of the glass.
So you asked everyone about it to eliminate that possibility right out of the gate.
Pretty clever.
And that's made everything clear, hasn't it? As long as it was a locked room, it only contained the bottle of poison, and not the protein can. But once the room was opened up, they were switched, And as a result, the protein can wound up in the rec room, and the bottle of poison returned to the chem lab.
Mm-hmm.
If that's all true, then why did Sakura drink the poison? I thought we all agreed she was tricked into drinking it because of the protein can.
No, that's not why. The only explanation is she drank it from its original bottle, knowing exactly what it was.
Dun dun dun.
Precisely. She was alone in a locked room. All she had was the poison. What other possibility is there?
You know what that means, everybody.
You're saying she drank it knowing what it was? Such a ridiculous fiction is...
Exactly what happened.
Then tell us already. Sorry. Please, tell us.
Before we get to that, we need to clarify one other thing. We need to establish who exactly got the poison from the chem lab and took it to the rec room.
It was Hina, right? She took it and gave it to Ogre.
That's what she said, but she lied about that.
What do you think, Makoto?
The one who got the poison from the chem lab and brought it to the rec room. It had to have been... dun dun dun. Sakura.
I think it was Sakura herself.
Huh? So Sakura, who was apparently murdered, just poisoned herself? What are you talking about? There's no way!
On the contrary, we know for a fact she went to the chem lab, right to the section full of poisons.
You're lying! Stop lying! Why? Why would you lie like that?
No, it's not a lie. Sakura definitely went to Section C. I have to get Hina to admit that. Alright, it's time for another bullet time battle, this time with Hina. We're not lying,
You're a
Hina.
liar! What are you saying?
Let's see if I can beat her
Wrong.
nice and quick.
You're wrong! Just let it end already!
Bang, 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 bang. Triangle,
You're a
bang,
liar.
bang. X, 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 X,
Wrong.
X, X,
You're
X.
wrong.
Triangle, X, X,
I
X,
hate
X.
you!
Do, 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 do. Okay, now remember that because this is a
You're a
bullet time battle now. We have that
Say.
new
Wrong.
component to
You're
bullet time
wrong.
battles.
Just let it end already!
Did I type? No, I did. I was like, did I tap that again? Yes. The R1 button, that is.
Wrong!
Tap, tap,
You're
tap.
wrong!
Come on, get to 100.
you.
I don't think I've ever got to 100.
You're a liar!
Yay!
I'm telling you,
Damn, that's
I
hard.
did it.
Let's
Hate
triangle.
you.
Okay. This
Do
should
you
prove
have any
it.
kind of proof Sakura took the poison?
I sure do.
Prove it?
The yellow powder on her sneaker. There was one other person that wore sneakers, and that was Sakura.
Did you know that Sakura's foot had a certain yellow powder stuck to it?
It did?
It did. The same yellow powder that had been spilled by the shelf in the chem lab. That powder was yellow, wasn't it? So the powder we found on Sakura, what else could it be but the powder from the chem lab?
Wait. So, what was that powder doing on Ogre's foot?
And it was only on her instep, right?
Sakura must have been standing right there where the powder was spilled. So the person who spilled the powder by the shelf wasn't Hina, but Sakura.
There's one interesting thing about that. If that's the case, why are Sakura's, or why is like at least 2 of Sakura's footprints not on the right side of the shelf? Like, so if she spilled the powder on the right side, then it would have wound up like, well, probably more on her ankles and like sort of lower, or like around her foot. Like it landed on her foot, but maybe her ankles as well. And then why, as she stepped out of the powder, unless she kind of like jumped out of the way, but then it would have, I don't know. There's a slight like inconsistency there, but it's not enough to say that like this is not how it happened. So the person who spilled the powder by the shelf wasn't Hina, but Sakura. Let's see if I can get this done
when
anyway.
Sakura dropped the bottle, she dropped it away from where she was actually standing, which is how she was able to avoid getting it all over herself.
Alright, so they try and explain it there.
But the powder still got scattered around, and some of it must have wound up on her instep.
So the bottle was facing the other way, but the powder ended up all on that side, I guess. But still, I feel like
Is
there would have
any
been.
problem with my thinking?
I think so,
Well,
Makoto,
why
but not
did
enough to
Sakura pay a visit to Section C in the first place?
change how the game was programmed.
The only explanation is that she was looking for poison. After all, that's all that section contained.
No! It was me! The poison! Because I killed her!
No, you didn't kill her.
The one that killed Sakura. The connection between Sakura and the poison. The unsolved mystery of the locked room. There's only one way to explain it. The one who killed Sakura was Sakura
Here's
herself.
my answer.
It was
The
suicide.
one who killed Sakura was Sakura herself.
Oh, I actually didn't realize that's exactly what he says.
What?
What?
The killer was Sakura?
Wait, so you're saying it was suicide?
That's right.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it any more than I believe I can fly.
I can't believe it either. Or rather, I don't want to believe it. But when you really think about it, everything matches up. Sakura went and got the poison. She barricaded herself in a room, and she drank it. All so she could end her own life. And that explains why we couldn't solve the mystery of the locked room.
Because of course, Sakura wanted to create the locked room.
I got it! The locked room mystery was created by Sakura.
I'm sure she locked herself in so nobody could stop her from doing what she did. She sat there, drank the poison, and breathed her last breath. And the empty bottle of poison rolled around the locked room until we came and opened it. At that point, someone grabbed the bottle and snuck it out of the room. And that was you, wasn't it, Hina? You did it to throw off the investigation, didn't you? When we found her body, you stayed right there near the door. Because you already knew Sakura was dead. And because the bottle of poison had rolled near the doorway.
That's when you picked up the bottle, right? I was too shocked to notice anything, and Kyoko was busy checking the body.
And the more I think about it, the more I realize how unusual your actions were.
I have to go get them. I have to go get the others. On shaky legs, Hina left the rec room.
You said you were going to go get everyone else. But your real intention was to go to the chem lab and switch out the containers, wasn't it? Once you were at the chem lab, you headed straight to the section where the protein powder was kept. There, you took the powder and poured it into the bottle of poison you'd grabbed from the rec room. When you left the lab, all you had was the empty protein can. Thinking about it like that, the footprints make perfect sense.
When you were done, you gathered everyone together. And once you were back in the rec room,
I got everyone. Ogre? Oh, so she's dead, huh? Sakura's been killed. I see.
while everyone else was focused on Sakura, you quietly placed the can on the ground. Honestly, I should have noticed. You should have been the first one to run up to Sakura's lifeless body. The Hina I know never would have left her side in a situation like that.
So, Sakura committed suicide. In order to hide this fact, Hina undertook a series of actions to undermine the investigation. As long as you could disguise the truth, you didn't care if we blamed you for her death. That's why you didn't bother to get rid of such obvious evidence, right? The footprints in the powder and the bottle of poison? Vital pieces of evidence, and yet...
So you're saying Hina consciously deceived us to make it look like she killed Sakura?
No! No! No, 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 no! I killed her! I did it!
That's enough, Hina. It's over.
It's not! Nothing's over!
It is! Actually, no. You're right. We have to end this properly.
It's time for the closing argument. Climax inference. Alright, Sakura delivers a note to Hiro, Toko, and Byakuya. Toko heads to the locker. Oh, sorry, to the rec room and hides herself in the locker. She's looking at Sakura. Sakura is basically looking right at her. Hiro gets there. Sakura offers Hiro the candy. Hiro takes it. He thinks he hears her say that she's going to end it all, which in this case means she's actually going to commit suicide. He bumps into the Monokuma bottles slightly. Then before he wants to get killed, or before he, he doesn't want to get killed, so he picks up a Monokuma bottle. You can see the knight in that bottle, and smashes Sakura in the head with it. He realizes what he's done. He doesn't want to be caught, so he grabs the magazine there and writes Toko's name in it, and then runs off. Toko, who is in the locker at this point, sees him doing that, and she kind of comes out of the locker. This animation here of her face, it's very how can I put it? It's just like, it's very simplistic, but it evokes so much emotion. I really feel so bad for Toko with just this facial expression she's got here. They've done such a great job with that. The next one is she puts the magazine, like she tries to hide the magazine, she puts it upside down there. Sakura her head is hurting, so she walks over to Toko. Toko realizes, she's like, oh my god, she's gonna kill me. She's looking at her with intent, then she faints, turns into Genocide Jack or Jill, grabs the next Monokuma bottle and smashes it on her head as well. Now at that point, she's taken quite a lot of damage, so Sakura kind of collapses. Toko cleans up her mess and sprints away. Sakura gets up one more time, holds her head, and let me see. And then she says, all right, I'm completely drenched in blood, and I'm gonna kill myself. Oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. It's this one here. She decides to end it all and drinks the poison. Everyone gets there. Makoto, Kyoko, they look at Sakura through the window. You can see here, Hina is considered the culprit, kind of, in this case. Makoto bursts in. Makoto and Kyoko are looking directly at Sakura. Hina's a bit suspicious. She sees the bottle of poison that was used to kill, that Sakura used to kill herself. So she takes it and puts it into her bag. She leaves. She comes back, and and then she takes the thing out of her bag. And this is exactly what happened.
The killer is you!
Oh, my practice, he said, and this is exactly what happened.
This case began when Sakura asked a number of people to meet her in the rec room. Specifically, those people were Hiro, Toko, and Byakuya. But one of them headed out a bit earlier than the others. Toko. She got there one step ahead of everyone else and looked around for a good hiding spot. And she found it. She crawled into the locker to get out of sight.
I don't know if she crawled in, but okay.
Then, from inside the locker, she saw Sakura enter the room. Next to arrive was Hiro. When he got there, he mistakenly thought Sakura was going to try to kill him, so he panicked. Without thinking, he grabbed a nearby Monokuma bottle and attacked Sakura with it. Thinking he'd killed her, he hastily began covering up his crime. He took a magazine from the table and forged a dying message from Sakura. To that end, he wrote down a name. Toko. By writing her name, he was hoping to pin the murder on her. But of course, Toko had witnessed the whole thing. So as soon as the coast was clear, she jumped out of the locker and hid the magazine on the shelf with all the others. But in her rush, she made one little mistake. She put the magazine back upside down. Soon after, she watched as Sakura slowly opened her eyes. She also saw the blood dripping off Sakura's head and fainted. This caused her personality to switch back over to Genocide Jack. When she woke back up, her second personality also saw the blood-soaked Sakura, and she freaked out. And just like Hiro, she grabbed another Monokuma bottle and attacked her. This explains why there were 2 wounds on Sakura's head. Assuming Sakura really was dead this time, she set about disposing of the evidence. She gathered up the broken Monokuma bottle shards and the queen chess piece.
Apparently with her bare hands. And not like a dust
And that
broom.
explains how Sakura was attacked twice with the same type of weapon. But even after those 2 blows, she was still alive. So then, what was Sakura's actual cause of death? It was the poison that Sakura herself got from the chem lab. She turned the rec room into a true locked room scenario, and then drank the deadly mixture. And there, she took her final breath. Later on, the rest of us discovered that her body was in there. We had to smash the door's window to get inside. But someone already knew what had happened, knew that she had committed suicide. And that same someone quietly snatched the bottle of poison from off the ground. And while nobody was looking, replaced it with an empty protein can. They did all this specifically to place all the suspicion on themselves, in an attempt to guide the trial to a false conclusion. And the one who went to all that effort was you, Hina.
Makoto looks so much older in that photo with his hair, like, looking away.
That's the full truth of the case.
Alright, that's a good place to stop. Alright, so the revelation has occurred. Sakura committed suicide. Wow, man. After having, Leon killed Sayaka, Mondo killed Chihiro, Celeste, or well, in one case, Hifumi killed Taka and Celeste killed Hifumi. We have a case where someone has committed suicide. What an amazing way to sort of go for chapter 4. It's they've developed this pattern 1, 2, 3, and it gets the player to think, well, who did it? Who did it? We have so few people to choose from. It should be simple to figure out. And even if you kind of consider that it could have been Hino, even if you're one of those people who's like, well, I know it's always the one you least suspect, so the one I least suspect is Hina. But no, it was even further away from that. It was Sakura that did it. What an incredible chapter. But we're still far from over with this class trial, so I think it's still going to go for probably another 2 episodes. So we will learn more about exactly why Sakura chose to take her own life. And yeah, all that stuff. So for now, I want to thank you all very much for watching episode 59 of Let's Platinum Danganronpa 1-2 Reload. My name's Ultima456, you're the Ultimates, and I'll see you next time.